You're standing in a store. Maybe it's online, maybe it's a real checkout counter, doesn't matter. There's a pair of shoes, or a phone, or a laptop, or some gadget you've been eyeing for 3 months. And right there, at the bottom of the screen, or on the little card reader display, you see it. 4 words that feel like someone just handed you a gift. Buy now, pay later. And something in your brain just relaxes. Because it doesn't feel like debt, it feels like a solution. Like the universe said, hey, you work hard, you deserve this. Just split it into 4 easy payments. No interest, no stress. So you click yes, you tap confirm, you smile. You walk away, or the package shows up 2 days later, and for a moment, just a moment, everything feels fine. Until it doesn't. Look, I'm not here to judge you. I've been there. Most people watching this right now have been there. But here's the thing. That little moment of relief, that 4 easy payments feeling, it's one of the most carefully engineered psychological traps in modern finance. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on exactly how it works, why it's designed to feel so harmless, and what it's actually costing you. Because once you see it, really see it, you cannot unsee it. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first, what even is buy now, pay later? Because I think a lot of people assume they know, but they don't fully understand the machinery behind it. Buy now, pay later, or BNPL as the finance world calls it, is a short-term financing option that lets you purchase something immediately and split the cost into smaller installments, usually 4 payments over 6 weeks. Companies like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, Sezzle, Zip, these are the big players, and they've exploded. We're talking about a global BNPL market that was valued at over $330 billion in 2023, and it's projected to cross $700 billion by 2028. This is not a small trend. This is a financial revolution, and not necessarily in a good way. Here's a number that should stop you cold. A study by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, found that BNPL borrowers in the U.S. were more than twice as likely to carry high credit card debt. More than twice. And another survey from LendingTree found that nearly 40% of BNPL users have missed at least 1 payment. Not some reckless, financially irresponsible minority. 4 out of 10 people who use these services. Regular people. People like you and me. So how does something marketed as interest-free and easy end up hurting so many people? Let me show you.
Imagine your brain is a boardroom, and inside that boardroom, you've got 2 executives making every decision you make about money. One of them, let's call him Future Fred, is calm, spreadsheet-loving, long-term thinking. He wears glasses. He drinks black coffee. He's thinking about your retirement account, your savings rate, your financial future. The other guy, let's call him now Nick. He's louder. He's enthusiastic. He doesn't really care about next month. He wants what he wants, and he wants it right now. Most of the time, Future Fred keeps now Nick in check. When you see a price tag and think, that's a lot of money, that discomfort is Future Fred doing his job. That mild pain of paying, psychologists actually call it the pain of paying, is a natural break. It slows you down. It makes you ask, do I really need this? BNPL's entire business model is built on silencing Future Fred and handing the microphone to now Nick. When you split a $200 purchase into 4 payments of $50, your brain doesn't process it as a $200 decision anymore. It processes it as a $50 decision. And $50 feels fine. $50 doesn't trigger the same hesitation. The pain of pain drops dramatically. Research from the Kellogg School of Management has shown that when payment is deferred or divided, people are willing to spend significantly more, sometimes up to 20 to 30% more than they would with a lump sum payment. That's not a coincidence. That's the product.
Now here's where it gets really interesting.
And by interesting, I mean slightly infuriating. Because I want you to understand who actually pays for the free in interest-free. When you use Klarna or Afterpay at checkout, the retailer, the store you're buying from, pays the BNPL company a merchant fee, usually somewhere between 2 and 8% of the transaction. So if you buy a $200 jacket, the retailer might hand over $10 to $16 to the BNPL platform just to have that payment option at checkout. Why would retailers do that? Because it works. Studies show that offering BNPL at checkout increases average order value by 30 to 50%. Customers buy more, they buy more often, and they're less likely to abandon their carts. So the retailer is essentially saying, I'll give up a slice of margin if it means you spend more overall. It's a trade-off that makes complete business sense. For them. But here's the uncomfortable part. Do you think retailers are just quietly absorbing that merchant fee? Or do you think it's quietly baked into the pricing of everything you buy? Yeah, you already know the answer. And then there's the late fees, because interest-free doesn't mean consequence-free. Miss a payment and the fees kick in fast. Afterpay charges up to 25% of the order value in late fees, capped at a certain amount. Klarna can report missed payments to credit bureaus in some markets. Affirm offers longer-term financing products that absolutely carry interest, sometimes up to 36% APR. The no-interest product is the front door. The profitable machinery runs in the back.
Let me tell you about Maya. Maya is 26, lives in a mid-sized city, works a decent job. She's not irresponsible. She budgets. She's not going out every weekend blowing money. But 6 months ago, she bought a $400 skincare set using Afterpay. 4 payments of $100. Easy, right? Then 2 weeks later, she needed new work shoes. $180. Split it into 4. Then her friend's birthday came up. A gift, a dinner out, a new outfit. She used Klarna for the outfit. $150. 4 payments. Now she's got 3 BNPL obligations running simultaneously. Every 2 weeks, multiple payments hitting her bank account. She's not tracking them the way she tracks rent or her phone bill because they don't feel like bills. They feel like afterthoughts, small amounts. Until the month her car needed a repair and her account didn't have enough cushion. She missed 1 BNPL payment, then another. Fees kicked in, her credit score got dinged, and she's staring at her bank account wondering how someone who doesn't overspend ended up financially squeezed. Maya's story is not rare. A survey by Bankrate found that over 55% of BNPL users said the service caused them to spend more than they otherwise would have. More than half. And yet in the moment of purchase, every single one of those people felt like they were being smart, felt like they were managing their money well. That's the trap. It doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a lifeline.
Here's the metaphor I want you to hold on to. Think of BNPL like a revolving door. It looks like an easy way in. Smooth, effortless, barely any friction. But here's what nobody tells you about revolving doors. If you're not paying attention, you can go around again and again and again, and suddenly you're not entering the building anymore. You're just spinning. Every new BNPL purchase is another push on the door, and most people don't realize they're spinning until they're dizzy. The average BNPL user in the United States has not 1, but 3 active BNPL plans at any given time. 3, according to data from the CFPB. 3 separate payment schedules, 3 separate due dates, often with 3 different platforms that don't communicate with each other. There is no central dashboard showing you, hey, you owe this much total across all your plans. You're expected to track it yourself, and most people, busy, overwhelmed human people, don't.
Okay, so let's talk about the credit score angle, because this is the part that really gets me. Because BNPL was sold heavily, loudly, repeatedly as a credit-friendly option. Great for people with thin credit files, doesn't require a hard inquiry, won't hurt your score. Beautiful. Except that's not really the full picture anymore. As of 2023, multiple major credit bureaus, including Equifax and Experian, have begun incorporating BNPL data into credit reports, which means those 4 easy payments, they can now show up on your credit file, which is fine if you pay on time, but if you miss payments, which remember nearly 40% of users do, you now have negative marks on your credit report from a product you thought was consequence-free. And here's the kicker. Because BNPL plans typically don't report on-time payments to all bureaus consistently, you often don't get the credit building upside, but you can absolutely get the downside. It's asymmetric. Failure counts, success often doesn't. For your credit score, using BNPL responsibly might give you nothing. Using it sloppily can genuinely hurt you. Now, I want to be fair here, because I'm not saying BNPL is pure evil. I'm saying it's a tool that is designed in a way that benefits
everyone in the transaction except the person who needs the most protection, the buyer. There are legitimate use cases. If you need to buy a necessary appliance, a refrigerator, a washing machine, and you need to spread that cost over 6 weeks while you save up, and you are absolutely certain you can make every payment, and you have it written in your budget like a bill, that's a reasonable use of the tool. I'm not going to pretend it never makes sense, but that's not how most people are using it. Most people are using it to buy things they don't urgently need because the payment structure makes them feel like they can afford something they actually can't. Not right now, not comfortably, not without stress. And there's a difference between can afford on paper and can afford without it affecting your financial health. BNPL is very good at blurring that line.
So what do you actually do about this? Because I don't want to be the person who shows you a problem and then just waves goodbye. Let me give you something real. First thing, do a BNPL audit right now. Not tomorrow, now. Pull up every service you've signed up for. Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, Zip, whatever. Look at every active plan, add up the total remaining balance across all of them. Write it down as one number. Because that's your real BNPL debt. Not 4 easy payments, one real number. I guarantee it will look different when you see it that way. Second thing, treat BNPL payments like bills, not background noise. Put them in your budget with the same weight as rent or utilities. Set calendar reminders because the platform is counting on you forgetting. That's not paranoia. That's literally how the late fee revenue model works. Third thing, introduce a 48-hour rule for any BNPL purchase over $100. If you still want it in 48 hours and you've done the math on whether you can genuinely afford it right now, in full, not split up, in full, then you can make a clear-headed decision. Most impulse purchases don't survive 48 hours. Most don't even make it 24.
Fourth, build what I call a boring fund, not an emergency fund. Well, yes, an emergency fund too, but a boring fund is money set aside for the predictable stuff. The shoes you'll need for work, the laptop that's 3 years old and definitely gonna die soon, the birthday gifts you know are coming. When you have money sitting and waiting for those predictable expenses, BNPL stops looking attractive. You don't need to split $200 into 4 payments if you've already got $200 earmarked for exactly this kind of purchase. And fifth, here's the mindset shift that ties it all together. Start asking not, can I afford the payment, but can I afford the price? Because those are two very different questions, and BNPL has trained you to only ask the first one. The payment is the illusion. The price is the reality.
Look, here's the thing that nobody in the BNPL marketing department wants you to realize. These platforms are not on your side. They are not your friend. They are a business, a very profitable, very well-funded business that makes money when you spend more than you planned, pay late, and come back to use the service again. Their success metric is your increased spending, full stop. That doesn't make you stupid for having used them. It makes you human. These products are built by teams of behavioral economists and psychologists specifically to feel frictionless, to feel like a yes. You were never meant to stop and think. That was the point. But you're thinking now, and that's already different. The person who finishes watching this video is not the same as the person who pressed play. Because now you know how the revolving door works. You know about future Fred and now Nick. You know about the pain of pain being intentionally dulled. You know the asymmetric credit risk. You know the late fee machinery. You know the merchant fee you're quietly helping pay through product pricing. You know? And knowing is the first move. The next move is yours. Go do that audit. Add up your number, write it down, and then make a decision. Not from the checkout screen, not from the dopamine hit of a new purchase, but from a place of actual clarity. From future Fred with his black coffee and his spreadsheet, calmly running the numbers and telling you the truth. Because here's what I know about the people watching this. You're not here because you don't care about money. You're here because you do. And that matters. That's actually rare. Most people sleepwalk through their financial lives and wonder why they never get ahead. You're asking the questions. That means you're already ahead of where most people ever get. Now go make the move that matches that.
One Tap supports hours of research